All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the channel, Old Guy Jammin'. And you may notice some changes in the room. No Friedman plate on the cab. So I ordered, because it's a vanity thing, it's a nice cab, but cabs are expensive. So I ordered this from, where did I get it? Kazakhstan. Check out the all the stamps on that thing. Anyway, it cost me 10 USD, 10 US dollars. It's printed and it's perfect. And I drilled some holes in it and I took the Friedman label off the cab and I'm putting this over it so that I have a matching cab. Is it a Soldano cab? No. But is it a quality cab? Heck yeah. It's oversized. It's birch. It's all that stuff. And it already has the G12M creamback in it, which I think is an amazing speaker. So, and over here, we've got a new cab that I made for that right there, the Victory Jack. And there'll be more to come on that for sure because it's just one of the most amazing amps. It's amazing. I sold the EVH Stealth and the... Oh, I'm getting a thumbs up. All right. And I sold the Stealth because it does everything that those did, plus the clean channel and the overdrive channels are great. I have the foot switches on the shelf instead of down here because it's just, I don't like all the mess down here. So, like Ingve always says, only less can be more. Wait, no, he doesn't say that. He says only more can be more. In this case, Ingve, less is more, and it's good. So that's kind of what's going on. Some changes in here, getting rid of stuff, and I've never been happier about it. Anyway, so now what I wanted to talk to you also about was my kind of humor. My daughter got this as a gift. She got, anyways, a gift in this box. And then she said, hey, Dad, you might want this box. So I started to take a look at it. And I started to look at it and I started to get horrified. Because I thought, are you kidding me? Are they really giving kids fire logs and accelerant? Because if you look at what's included in this, you'll see that it includes the fire ring panels, enduro logs, which are hollow, that you then fill with a cherry-scented fuel accelerant, and then a 12-inch fire poker, and a manual, of course, comes with it with some first aid tips. Licking batteries and putting weird stuff in microwaves can't hold a candle to the darling delights of my first fire. No more tiresome questions like, Mom, will it burn? Boredom. Get ready to meet your match because where there's smoke, there's fun. And just look at that kid lighting this thing up, pouring the fuel on it. But the whole thing is a gag. And it took me a few moments to realize that. But then I thought, oh my gosh, that is so much fun and yet horrific all at the same time. They also have some others you can get. My first fryer. I can't imagine what the box looks like for that. Hay in a needle stack. Seriously? And then extreme chores. But they're gag boxes you can put gifts in. And it's just too much fun. Super funny. Very nice. Not a blemish on it. From Kazakhstan, 10 USD. All right, enjoy the trip through the Runt 20. I've been, the reason I ended up with that is because I've been, oh, hey, yep, thumbs up. I was looking for something. The chase for tone. And I tried a Grandmeister from Hughes and Kettner. And it just doesn't work. They have something weird in the preamp that doesn't allow for the use of pedals in a nice way. What you read about those is true. So took that back. and I've had a few of those before, but I decided to try one again. And then I've had Friedman's, and I hadn't had a Runt, but I've had the Brown Eye, I've had the Little Sister, and so I decided, well, maybe the Runt's where it's at, but no, it's not. It's basically a one-channel amp. And so then I tried the Victory Kraken, and it was great. It was very much like the EVH Stealth, but I had the Stealth, so why spend all that money on a Kraken? But I wasn't done with Victory. This one isn't talked about as much. Better put that away. The Jack doesn't have as much fanfare because of Rabir Masad, but man, what an amp. It's great. But there'll be more on that later. So we're going to take a trip right now through the Runt 20 by Friedman, and then we'll see you back another time for a look into that guy and maybe even get some tones. But this one, I made this one myself. It's got a great finish. It's good. I'm going to have a little label for it. Exposed speaker. I've got a grill I can put over it. I don't know. I'll leave it up to you guys. See what you think. I kind of like the raw exposed look. It's got a V30, and that matches really nice. Better with this amp, better than the Creamback. All right. Enjoy the trip through the Runt. We'll see you next time. Greetings once again. Rolling on up to the Friedman Runt 20. I was curious to look around inside one of these. I wanted to check it out. Having had the Jerry Cantrell version, it was a really great amp, but a little on the tight side for me. It just didn't have the bloom. It was more like a chainsaw. So I wanted to try this one because Sweetwater's sold something like 39 or 60 of these. It was a hot seller when it came out. So I tried it with the full intent of keeping it. However, I'm going to return it because the clean channel doesn't have a master, and it's really just clean. Clean until you crank it up. But the time you get it even up to 3, it is really loud. So it really, for my purposes, it's a one-channel amp, and I can't see paying this much for it. And the igniter is, really close to the Friedman's, which is kind of fun. Anyway, so I thought I'd take you for a trip through it while we're here. We've got the input over here. There's the input power plug, and then the white and black work their way over to this lit on-off rocker switch. And then those wires go down to the power transformer, and they come back up right over here with all these different colored leads. Those are the wire taps off the main transformer. And then you've got 4 fuses, probably protecting 2 or 3, 4 perhaps, different power stages. You've got a digital rectifier, full wave bridge rectifier right there below the fuses. And then really large caps, which I don't know anything about ARS, but I imagine they are locally sourced and of a pretty high quality. One thing interesting about those is that the leads are all snipped and the caps are soldered back into place. It must have been intentional because they are all clipped. The lead that goes into the PCB has been cut, and the capacitor is wired onto those leads. So changing these out would be a piece of cake because you could do it from this side of the board. You wouldn't have to get underneath, do any desoldering. I don't know if that was the intent, but just something that's interesting about that. The other wires coming up from the transformer would be from the output transformer, and they are right there going to our output jacks. There's a big gold resistor down there on the bottom. That has to either do with the impedance change and or, I imagine, it has to do more so with the silent recording ability, which is this board right here. This is the direct out with some ground lifts, the DI out, some level buttons and other things. So the taps off the power transformer have to do with the 8 ohm or 16 ohm speakers. So that big load resistor, that gold one in there, I'm sure it allows you to, it operates as an active load so that you can record silently
and the amp still thinks it sees a speaker type code. One thing Friedman does, which is really awesome, is it uses these plugins for all the potentiometers on the front panel, and full-size metal pots with big windows, so it's really easy to wash these out, which is really nice. One thing I don't like about the Victory amps, and some others, is that they use the little plastic pots that you can't get any fluid in them, and if you were to have to ever change one, you'd have to pull the board to get it out. This way, you just unplug it and put your new pot in there, which is really, really sweet. All right, we got a lot of sandstone resistors. They are all mounted on the board, which I like to see some space between those and the PC, but it is what it is. I don't think I've ever seen an amp with as many large power block resistors like that, which is kind of interesting. Otherwise, though, we have large sized resistors. Those are all at least 1/2 watt resistors, which is nice to see. Lots of space between all the components. There's a little relay, large orange drop. Input jack over here also is just plugged in to the PCB, so if you need to, if something happens to that, you just pull it out and replace it. You don't have to take the whole board out. The card right there is the effects loop, and this circuit in the back contained within that dash perimeter line is all the effects loop circuitry. Again, if you had a problem with your effects loop, you could just pull that board out and plug a new one in, which is just cool. I imagine it saves Friedman a lot on repairs too. If an amp comes back for a particular problem, it's probably very easy for them to get in there quickly, figure out what the problem is, get in quick, swap it out, and return it to the customer. So really nice amp. It's got a really classic and older rock tone, Marshall-esque, very nice and tight, a great pedal. The pedals sound great on the clean channel, but it's just not quite my thing. I actually prefer the Marshall DSL 1s and 5s and 20s for that Marshall tone. I've tried a lot of different hot-rodded Marshall type of amps, and other than the Soldano, I've kind of taken them all back. All right, well, there you go. That's inside the Runt 20. Happy trails. And I guess while we're here, we might as well show you the top. There's the Friedman RNT PT20. That doesn't stand for Pink Taco at 20. It's the power transformer, a mistake I made a while back on another Friedman amp. And then there's the RNT, the OT20, so the output transformer right there. Nice, both big transformers. EL84 is there, and then a trio of 12 AX7s, 7025 from China. They round out the complement of tubes in the top of this guy. No, interesting, but there's no vibration dampening on the tubes. There's no rubber ring. There's no, spring-loaded socket. These are all just free-floating. So perhaps it's not necessary.